acceptance.
Make sure to sign in if you haven't. That way you can just like keep a record of who's attending these, and especially if you're looking to try out for the competition teams later at the end of boot camps, it will help us keep track of you and also put you in the Canvas course to submit homework. And then also for if you're a non-CPP student and you'll still need to have VPN access to access our later workshops. So also make sure to go ahead and scan the second QR code here, and probably just start like making your way through it, or just fill out the form, I believe. But getting started, we'll be getting started with CPTC first. So CPTC is the Collegiate Penetration Testing Competition, and it is a international competition, obviously focused on penetration testing. Cal Poly Pomona is a two-time world champion, and as I mentioned, it focuses on penetration testing, getting through network infrastructures, social engineering, and being able to create scripts and reverse engineer certain binaries. Now, on top of that, um, it is not solely just a technical competition. A lot of the competition really focuses on simulating a real world penetration test. And what that means is that there's a lot of consulting involvement and interacting with your client. So if your client comes in and asks you a question about maybe the penetration test, or maybe they just want to know some more information about like securing a new application that they're building, they'll come in and ask you that question kind of on the fly. It's referred to as an inject, and you have to do your best to answer in a very professional manner, and also give them, the best information you can without trying to, make up anything that you don't know. You don't want to give them false information, and they really do check this kind of thing. So it's very important to, make sure that you're not lying to your client in any way. Additionally, they also might ask if, let's say, they detect you doing some potentially damaging like exploits on their network, they're also going to come talk to you about that. And let's say like you did an exploit and their DNS server went down and now like nothing's working. That's kind of cause for an emergency, and promise you that they'll be in touch with you, and you have to do your best to kind of rectify that situation. Something good though is that unlike maybe a real world penetration test where you might, lose your job in that scenario, in this case, if you respond correctly and um, make sure to like address your mistakes, and also very importantly, if you tell the client your mistakes before they find out, um, at least in CPTC, you can earn back to, I believe, 95% of those total points that you've lost off of doing something terrible, like breaking their DNS server. Additionally, this simulation also includes um, the simulation also includes like creating a report at the very end. So collecting all your vulnerabilities, we're not really just like, throwing it at the client and expecting them to understand it. You have to build this for an entire company. So that includes addressing your C-suite level people, making sure there's an executive summary on your report, and also like being able to summarize how critical their network is. And then, of course, you're going to include all your technical vulnerabilities afterwards. We'll go over more of this reporting in the later weeks. And when we talk about the schedule, I'll kind of point you to where that is. But for now, just know that there is going to be, there's the technical aspect, but that is only 25% of this competition. A lot of it relies on how you interact with the client and how your overall report ends up as well. And in globals, there is also a presentation that you'll have to do. Now getting on to our team specifically, there's going to be 6 main roster slots and 2 alternates. Every year for us, we'll carry over our legacy competitors. So that means that we have 3 continuing members this year. So there will be 3 open slots and 2 alternate slots for anyone that is trying out for these or for CPTC in this end of the boot camp. And if you want more information, their website is cp.tc. So if you want to check that out, just read up. They also have a GitHub with like example reports. So you can kind of get a feel for, what the final deliverables are for this competition. Now, the team structure is visualized here. We have the captain up front. For CPTC, the captain this year is going to be me. I'll be handling kind of all around, both on the networking and network, web app, and business side. And then we'll break it down into the 5 other competitors here. So we'll have 4 penetration testers focusing on different aspects. So one will be an all-rounder as well. They can help out kind of as a second member to anyone that is stuck and anyone who needs like an extra mind. And then we'll have someone focused on network pen testing, which is a lot of like Windows and Active Directory and, kind of moving through the network as implied. We'll also have someone on web applications. So that's, breaking into the website front end, but also kind of leads into, if you get into the Linux on the back end, if you get a shell, you're probably going to be like, you're going to have to help out with that as well. And this last slot we have here for pen tester is one that kind of changes year to year. 2 years ago, we saw cloud appear. So we ended up having like a pen tester specifically for cloud. This last year, that was pretty much removed. And instead we had AI, which is the role that I ended up taking up last year. We're kind of unsure as to if that's going to continue to be the case. But, this role is kind of flexible in that sense. If we find something new again, then it'll probably be this person who's kind of going to switch off. But it's would for now, based on the knowledge that we have of last competition, it's going to be someone focused on web applications and also pen testing AI. And lastly, we have a business lead who kind of helps out just with a lot of the reporting and responding to, injects that I previously mentioned. It is both a team effort, but having someone dedicated on that role is very helpful. Now, for things that you'll learn the network penetration tooling and methodology, as I mentioned, with a lot of Active Directory. In this, you have ADCS, Kerberos, credential harvesting, and relaying. Additionally, you have Windows and Linux exploitation and like post-exploitation, what you do once you get a shell and if you can escalate those privileges. And some tools like InPacket, GhostPacket, and like C2s. Additionally, we have web application methodology. So learning how to pen test a website, fuzzing different endpoints, figuring out different injection vulnerabilities, and also, everything listed in the OWASP. If you're not familiar with that, it's like a list of the top vulnerabilities for web applications. It gets updated every, couple of years. I definitely recommend checking that out if website penetration testing is something you're interested in. And we also have Burp Suite. It's probably the main tooling that you'll use when doing web app testing. And it's something we'll be introducing you to in the coming weeks when it is time for that workshop. And lastly, of course, as I mentioned, the competition is not just technical. We have report writing. You have to interact with your clients, and learning how to do that very professionally and at a real world application level is something I think honestly is one of the best takeaways that you can get from this competition.
All right, now we'll be moving on to what is CCDC. CCDC stands for the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, and in the past, Cal Poly Pomona has been the two-time national runner-up. And this is a competition that mostly focuses on sysadmin, incident response, computer networking, cloud security, and generally host security. It's the opposite of CPTC, where we are more defense oriented. And the goal of CCDC is to simulate an IT or incident response teams. During the competition, you're given a network of a fictitious company with services on there that you need to defend. Um, there will be an active red team that's attacking you, and their goal is to take down your system. So you have to make sure to harden and defend your systems so they are not taken down. While that's all happening, there's also a business side of it because it is to simulate how a business runs during this time. With the business side of it, you're given business tasks that you need to complete, and those tasks are mostly reporting. It can range from something technical that you can give to your manager, or something like an inventory check of your services that you're running. In addition to that, sometimes there is something called an orange team, and they'll be coming in occasionally to ask you questions about your company as if they were just customers. And the roster has 8 people on the main roster and 4 alternate positions. Just like CPTC, we do have continuing members who return. This year we'll have 5 open spots on the roster and all 4 alternate spots, although that can change as needed. So for the team structure, this was the structure from 2 years ago, and it's most likely going to be what's happening this year as well. So hi, I'm the captain. Last year I was also the networking lead. This year I will most likely be the networking lead as well. Then we have our business lead, and they handle the injects. Um, yeah, so they handle all of the inject reporting, and it's a very like it is a more technical role than it appears to be because you have to know what's going on when you write, and you have to know how to write as well. There's a cloud or a threat hunter position. I believe it's cloud in the higher levels, such as like nationals or regionals, but they will also be actively looking for threats and doing cloud security. For the Linux team, there's a Linux lead, and they're helping everybody or mostly working on securing everything on the Linux side of things. And under them is are 2 more Linux members. Both of them are focused more on web security. The web position focuses on like securing web apps and whatnot, and the database person will secure the databases. There's also a Windows lead and a Windows secondary, and both of them work together to secure and harden the Windows systems. And here are some things that you will learn in CCDC. You will maintain services such as Active Directory, DNS, web, SQL, cloud, and some remote protocols such as SSH, SMB, and many more. Some of the tools that we use are things such as group policy, Nmap, Splunk, VPNs, a lot of firewalls, and again, more. And we'll go through different processes such as user management, incident response, patching and hardening, making backups, and performing inventory. And we use a whole bunch of OSs as the ones that are listed.
All right, so now we'll be meeting the teams. As we mentioned, both CPTC and CCDC have returning members for this upcoming year. So we'll start with CCDC.
Hi, I'm Natalie Tran. As I introduced myself earlier, I will be the captain for this year, and I've taken the networking lead position last year, so I handled a lot of like router security. and a lot of firewalls with that. Mava, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Maida, and I'm an incoming third year CS major. I was an alternate team member on CCDC last year, and I just wanted to say that the CCDC bootcamp helped me so much because I had like basically no experience before it, and throughout the bootcamp, I definitely had to do a lot of time management and have a lot of discipline to like be able to learn what I did learn and ask questions like when I needed help. But after I tried out, got onto the team during the year, some of the things I did on the team was compete in the Hive Storm competition. And then during invitationals, I would help with injects and system admin, firewalling, and then I helped make practice environments.
Right. Hi, I'm Sarah. Me and Maida have pretty similar stories in CCDC. I joined last year as an alternate as well, and I also helped compete in Hivestorm and the CCDC Invitationals last year. I mostly worked with Windows machines, but I feel like my story is just another testament to like the boot camps and the experience that the teams can give you because before last year doing the boot camps, I had no like experience with cybersecurity at all. I didn't even really know like what a Windows server was. I had barely even like touched Linux. So I think that really shows that like you can learn a lot from these boot camps.
Okay. And now we'll be moving on to CPTC. I'll start off with myself. My name is Ryan Miller. An incoming third year as well, computer science. And I first competed on a competition we call NCAE, and it's a like cyber competition targeted towards beginners. We'll have tryouts for that actually once school starts as well. So it's something that honestly I thought was great. It helped me get introduced into cyber. And after that, I ended up doing the boot camps last year for both CPTC and CCDC. I think they, greatly helped me as, the previous members have stated. It really helped me like grow a lot, especially because coming into last summer, I didn't have any like offensive security knowledge. NCAE is a defensive competition, and that was really my only experience. So I kind of started fresh, and um, I felt like I really gained and learned a lot just from taking part in these. And I'll
My name
pass it
is
over to yeah.
yeah. My name is Ryan. I'm going to be the Windows lead for CPTC. For background on my previous experience, I started my cyber journey in college in my freshman year. Um, my freshman year during summer, I did the CDC boot camps, which obviously I didn't get in, but eventually I moved on to NCAE like Ryan Miller, and eventually I started to develop my skills with Linux and starting to understand the services on the back end. And then after doing some hack the boxes and other hacking learning platforms, I was able to get to where I am now and ultimately get onto the team on CPTC.
Hi guys, I'm Luke Kimes. Um, yeah, so I also actually tried out for CPTC a couple of years ago, and I did not get on the team, but the experience I got from the boot camps kept me moving forward. I did NCAA with these guys, and it's a great experience. It's really helped me with, I know we're all a lot of us students concerned about internships. It's all I talk about during my interviews. It is such a good experience. I hope you guys can learn a lot in this boot camps if you're a beginner. And I also hope you guys will try out for the teams, no matter how prepared you feel. Like it is a great experience and you'll get a lot of good feedback too.
Yeah. And so moving on, we'll be talking about our agenda for the rest of this talk. We'll be going over the key goals and objectives for the boot camp, kind of what we hope we all get out of it. And then we'll be going over the timeline and trial information. And we'll finish off the presentation with some testimonials from previous competitors and alumni of the school. So starting off with our bootcamp objectives, I think one of the biggest things is being able to learn. You know, it's a very classic saying, and being able to gain the ability to learn topics that you're unfamiliar with and gain proficiency with them independently is a skill that you know, will last you throughout your career on it, definitely throughout school, but I think more than you would think in the workplace as well. There's always going to be new technologies that you don't know and new things that you'll be interested in. So I think being able to have this skill is something that I really hope you guys can get out of the boot camp. Additionally, building team skills, pretty much, you know, no competition. Most of these competitions aren't, you know, individual. You have to work with a team. You have to have that chemistry and that bond that allows you guys to converse with each other and, you know, share information. And that is something that we're going to try and implement into these boot camps. Also, just meeting new people within the space and, you know, people who are into your industry. If you can make connections now, they'll definitely last you, you know, throughout your career and be very beneficial. And lastly, being able to just prepare yourself for the future, setting yourself a very solid foundation to build upon in cybersecurity. You know, I'm sure there are many of you who are new to cybersecurity and don't really know much, but I think you'll find these boot camps are able to set a very good baseline of information and maybe even, you know, help expose you to new topics so you can really figure out like what areas of cyber you're interested in, what you want to explore more from here. And going over the timeline here, for CPTC, well, we have the combination here for the kickoff, but going into CPTC schedule, we will take a 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. PST time frame for our boot camp. So, and that'll be every Saturday starting from today. So we'll cover introduction to pen testing, giving you a very baseline overview. And then from there, we'll go into hacking web apps, hacking Linux, hacking Windows, consulting, which is what I mentioned with going over reporting and being able to talk to your client. And lastly, we'll have tryouts on the 23rd to 24th. It will be all day, you know, for those 2 days. So it's a little intensive. You know, make sure you can free up some time for that. But I think it is very necessary in a competition like CPTC.
And for CCDC, we'll be taking the same days, but will be from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., also Pacific time. In the summer, it will be more focused towards general knowledge and can be used for practice for the fall. The fall CCDC will be more tailored for those that are trying out. So some of the information will be cut off, but again, it will be tailored for those that are trying out. So it's information that you need specifically for the tryouts. Then the following week in September will be the CCDC tryouts. It will be 2-day sessions, so you can do either Saturday or Sunday, and it will be 1 to 5 p.m. Pacific time for both. During the boot camps, we'll be covering business, networking, Linux security, Windows security, and common services. So this is the team schedule during the school year. Each week we'll meet once a week, usually on Saturdays, just to have practice. And during those times, we're working or researching together about different topics or different things related to our respective competitions. And the following schedule are the competition weekends for CCDC. In November, December, and January, there are tentatively one invitational in each of those months. Then in February, there will be the regional qualifiers, and the top 8 teams in the qualifiers make it to the regional finals in March. The top team in the regional gets to go to the finals, and I believe the second place team gets to go into a wild card to compete against the other region's second place teams, and the one that places top or the top few teams gets to go to the nationals.
And for CPTC, same thing. We'll be reading on Saturdays as well, and we'll try and line these up. So like CPTC will usually have their meetings, and that'll lead into CCDC just in case anyone's doing back to back. And ours competition schedule, it's a lot more simple. We just have regionals November. If you place first, you get an automatic ticket to globals, and otherwise, you'll be put into. We have wild cards, but it's like I believe they take the collective scores of everyone across all the regions, and then just take like the top 8, and they send them to globals as well. Now, covering trial details. As previously mentioned, CPTC will be August 23rd to 24th. It's a 2-day event. It'll be like basically the full 2 days, giving you time to start your penetration test, break into the network, and then from there also have to report on it and possibly respond to some injects.
And for CCDC, the tryout dates are September 20th and 21st. It's also a 2-day tryout where there's one session each day. And during that tryout, you'll be given your own VMs and you'll need to secure them against an active red team while completing business injects. So for the team requirements, you need to be a full-time CPP student during the fall and the spring because this is a more spring semester oriented competition. You also need to have good academic standing, which is a GPA of at least 2.0, and you need to stand out during the boot camp. And we'll talk about that more a little later.
And for CPTC, once again, need to be a full-time Pomona student. However, you only have to attend for fall 2025, and that's because our competition lies in that first semester of school. So if you're graduating, if you have only one more semester left, you can still do CPTC. And of course, I would encourage you to. Being able to have good academic standing, so a 2.0 GPA, and once again, standing out in the boot camp.
And this is the CCDC rubric that you'll be graded on for the fall if you decide to try out. For homework, you have 30%. For teamwork, that's 15%. So mostly that's just helping each other out and talking to each other. And you'll be able to see that in the Discord chat. Participation, which is 10%, and the tryouts, which are 45%.
And for CPTC, the homework will be 25% of your grade. Attendance is 10%. So make sure you fill out all these sign-in forms. And teamwork, another 10%. And tryouts, lastly, is the big chunk for 55% of your grade.
Right, and here are some boot camp tips. So be involved. So just, talk to each other, talk to us if you need help. Like we're all here to help you in your journey as well. Take notes during the meetings, and because there's also a lot of things that aren't covered in the meetings, do some research outside of them as well. It'll really help you to, learn how to learn because a lot of the times during our competitions, we have to do that as well. Like if there's just something that we don't know, there's a lot of researching involved. So stay organized. It's pretty hectic, I would say, during boot camp and tryout season. There's a lot of things in your life that you have to balance as well, and balancing boot camps on top of that might be a little bit harder. So be organized not only in your time, but in prioritizing it. Yeah, again, Googling things and asking questions. There's going to be a lot of times where you will face questions that you don't know how to answer. So feel free to use Google. Like it's a tool that's out there, it's accessible, and it's for you to use. You can always ask questions to anybody in the Discord server and any of us because we're all happy to help you. Then you have to work well in a team because again, this is a team type competition and you have to be able to work with each other. And when you're in the team, you'll have to put your differences aside, whatever they may be, and just respect and trust each other. And of course, the most important thing to have is bring a growth mindset. There's going to be a great learning curve with this, and you can't expect yourself to know everything all at once. It's a lot of information and a lot of material to take in. So just be prepared to learn and understand that there will be difficulties, but you will learn.
And now we'll be getting some uh, words from like former participants for these competitions and alumni of the school.
Hello, my name is Alex Selovich. I was a competitor on both CCDC and CPTC, and I was at Cal Poly in 2021 and 2022. Actually, I don't know anymore. I think I might have started in fall of 2020. I'm getting old. But I did do both of these competitions, and I think I've seen a lot in terms of what you can get out of them and how you can really benefit from it. And what I'm currently doing is pretty close to what I did in these competitions, especially CPTC. I'm a red team consultant at Google. So Google bought this cybersecurity consulting business a few years back, and essentially what we do is we go out and we see what our clients are looking for in terms of how they want us to assess what they have. So that could be clouds, individual systems, applications, mobile applications, web applications, even vehicles or industrial control systems. So anything that the client says they want to look at the security of and figure out what the weaknesses and vulnerabilities are before the bad guys figure them out, we do that and we look at that specifically. And so in terms of my background, I started as a transfer student. And specifically, I was in community college before this. That's why I was only at Cal Poly for about 2 years or so. I started out in LA Trade Tech, which is a LA inner city community college, but we didn't have a cyber program. We didn't really have anybody interested in cyber. So it was a rather lonely experience trying to prepare for Cal Poly and trying to prepare for a career in cyber, since I already knew then and there that I wanted to do this. And so what that ended up looking like is I had to do a lot of self-study. I had to do a lot of certificate prep. So I went ahead and I looked at the CompTIA certificates, and then I looked at the different capture the flag competitions that I could find online before even joining Cal Poly. And Cal Poly is one of the best places, definitely the best Cal State to go to if you want to get a degree in cyber and if you want to start a career in cyber. Just because the community here, for whatever reason, is just awesome. You'll see that the classes are not very good. No offense, Cal Poly. The classes are pretty terrible, so they're not going to teach you anything at all. But when you go to Swift and when you go to Fast and other cyber clubs, and especially when you join competition teams, that's when you're really going to learn and really going to get a lot of value. So in terms of that, after I transferred from community college to Cal Poly, I knew that my time was limited at Cal Poly, and that I really had very little time to get into the industry. And if you're a transfer student, I want you to pay attention to this and really take this to heart. You don't have 4 years to just do whatever you want and I guess go and party or whatever you were looking to do in college. I mean, I guess you could do that, but then you're going to come out without a job. So my recommendation is lock in from day one. If you're a transfer student, chances are you might be starting in the fall. So make sure that as soon as you are at Cal Poly, that you're joining every club, going to every meeting, talking to everybody, networking with everybody you can, and doing your best to make it onto the team, because that could make the difference of you being jobless at the end of this and you having a really high paying job and being a well compensated professional. That's what happened with me. I knew that I had little time, so I joined the teams. I really worked I really worked a lot to make the team. I studied a lot. I prepped, watched LinkedIn learning courses, YouTube videos, everything, you name it, right? In addition to all the CTFs and um, certificate courses I've prepped for. And then when I got to the boot camps, that's actually when I learned the hands-on skills. Because believe it or not, the CTFs taught me some aspects of web security, for example, but I still didn't know how to start a web server. I didn't know how to set up Active Directory. I didn't really know what Active Directory really means or how it works. And so the boot camps taught me that. So boot camps are really great if you're super new. Make sure that you actually listen, that you're attentive, that you do your homework, and more than that, even you don't just do your homework and just show up, because people who just show up, they don't get ahead and they then end up in a situation where, they finished school and now they don't know what to do. So in terms of that, make sure that you're actually talking to the competitors, talking to the alumni. If you get homework of some sort for CPTC or CCDC, they actually do more than what's required of you. Go above and beyond and actually understand this and immerse yourself in what you're doing. Because ultimately, if you don't immerse yourself in this, it's going to be really hard to get a job in cyber, just because the there's a lot more applicants than there are cyber jobs, despite what you might be told by some people at Cal Poly. And so, and this hasn't really changed over the years. Even with the AI being more popular, it's still the same situation where it's always been more difficult to get a job in this than in many other fields. Cybersecurity, you have to understand, you're dealing with really sensitive crown jewels for organizations and information that's confidential. And so how do you expect, like, that's not cooking fries at McDonald's, you know? You can't expect companies to just take an untrained student out of a Cal State and then really entrust them with all that power. So in terms of why you actually should join the comp teams, I have a few bullet points in addition to what I've already mentioned. The jobs themselves, when you join a team, what you're going to experience is you go and apply, and then you get on an interview with a company, and they're not going to ask you about your classes. At least in all my experience and anybody I know, nobody asks you about classes because nobody cares. Um, Basically, cybersecurity degrees and technology degrees like this, they're always several years out of date, and what is actually being done in the industry is years ahead normally. And what you do in competition is at best, from CCDC and CPTC perspective, at best maybe a year behind. But more often than not, it's actually exactly what professionals see in the industry. Because CCDC, CPTC are put together by volunteers that are in the industry already. So real penetration testers, real security engineers, security analysts, and the rest. And what they see in the industry is what they put in these environments. So when you come in, you are going to get miles ahead of what you're going to learn in class, possibly. So you're going to see things that you have no idea how to work with. You're going to see a lot of things that you've never seen before. A lot of things that might be challenging, a lot of challenging technologies, things like Kubernetes, that even professionals struggle with. And this is going to be an invaluable opportunity for you. And then when you get to the interview, you're going to talk about all that experience. Like Luke said, interviewers love caring about your competition experience, and networking as well. And networking for the people in your team directly, and also networking with the people who are putting up these competitions and the sponsors at these competitions, because these competitions are run in addition to the volunteers by the different companies that uh, give them money to put together the competition environments. And more often than not, they also get the full pack of resumes that competitors submit, and they also get the full attendance list. And they're going to be on site for when there's actually an in-person event. So typically, there's going to be sponsors or a booth or something, and you can always interview or not interview, talk to them and see if you can strike an interview, strike a conversation, get that relationship going. That's kind of what happened with me, not with the sponsors, but with the team members. The networking from joining the team for me was that I met Randy, who was a CPTC team member when I first joined, and I was still looking for an internship, and Randy actually wasn't at the time, I believe, interning or maybe working full time at a startup company, and he was on a security team doing cloud security engineering. I mentioned to him that I was looking for a job. Randy was able to put a good word in for me because he knew me from the team. And then I interviewed with them and I got my first internship. Your first internship in cyber is the most difficult part of starting a career in cyber. So getting into a competition team is going to be a really good way to get started in that and get ahead and get your first internship. In addition to that, soft skills obviously are going to be huge for you because contrary to popular belief, cyber is not a really profession where you just locked in a closet with a computer. You're gonna have to talk to people whichever direction in cyber you go. Let's say you're a penetration tester, you're interested in hacking, and you want to do CPTC. Boy, do I have news for you because two-thirds of my job is talking to people. I'm a penetration tester. I do my technical work, and then that's just the beginning because now I have to write a report, and then I have to prepare presentations, and then I have to deliver presentations, and I have to talk to engineers and executives and so many people in addition to my teammates as well. So, and it's same thing with security analysis and security engineering, because when you go into an organization, you're not going to be like a lone wolf trying to develop some technical solution. More likely than not, you're going to be working with a team of people. You're going to need to get buy-in from stakeholders and other teams and your leadership. So there's going to be so much talking you're going to need to do and communications and teamwork skills that you learn in competition and as part of being in a competition team are going to help you a ton with that. And also with the interviews themselves, a common interview question, I know Google asks it, is give me an example of like a difficult moment that you've had in a team, or maybe moment where you let down a team, or you carried a team, or you had a teammate do X, Y, and Z, and what was your reaction approach to it? So if you don't have any stories to share about being in a team, how do you expect them to get you through the process? So in terms of the technical skills themselves, I've already mentioned that the classes are pretty behind, but the competitions are pretty much spot on, typically with what is in the industry. Depending on the competition, it might be, if anything, it might be bleeding edge technologies that real consultants and penetration testers and security engineers see in the industry. So it's kind of an obvious thing that you're gonna get so much out of it technically. And in terms of the actual, I guess, how does it apply to real jobs and what you do in the real world? To me, CPTC is basically my day to day because what I did in CPTC is exactly the same as what I do in my day to day job. Uh, Obviously, the clients are more varied and the situations are more varied and the format and the rubric changes all the time and it's more fluid. But at the core, the job is the same. You need to come in and you need to do your technical work and you need to be ethical and you need to be careful and you need to be smart about it. And then you write a good deliverable that people will understand. And then you also speak to people and give presentations. So that's exactly what I do. And so these skills and this experience will really make you stand out in an interview and from other applicants in jobs if you're going to be going into consulting, for example. And even if you don't make the team, it's going to be a worthwhile experience. I think maybe some of you, if you don't plan to stay, for example, for 2 semesters and you can only stay for one, but you're looking to get into like a defense career, I still recommend attending the CCDC bootcamp, just because you will learn the bootcamp itself is already better than most Cal Poly classes and what they're going to teach you. So I really recommend that you attend these and you do the homework anyways. And even if you see that maybe you're falling behind on homework or everything else, or just didn't do well on some of the homework or the tryout, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, that's really a helpful experience for you. And you can still talk about it with recruiters and interviewers. Because yeah, I didn't make the team for whatever reason, but here's everything I learned. I can do a LAMP stack now. I know what Ubuntu is. I know how to set up Active Directory, and here's everything that I learned. And I can talk to you about all this CPTC web app penetration stuff that they taught me. So that said, if you do make the team, that's not the end of the road. It's not like I've reached the top of the mountain and now I'm good. I can safely retire and not do any work. It is kind of the beginning because, yeah, you make it to the team, but now it's up to you to work hard and rely on your drive, on your motivation, ambition, and actually do the hard work. And you might think that the hard part of CPTC and CCDC is actually coming for the competition day, wherever that is, or whenever that is. But it's really not, because for CPTC, globals is 2 days, like the global final. The regional, I believe, is one or 2 days as well. But if you look at that, what is that? At most 4 days. Uh, that's not really the hard part of the competition at all, because all the hard work has been done way ahead of that. All the hard work is done from the moment you start attending these boot camps and up until the competition day and then beyond. Because what does that look like? You come to practice, you learn new things, you develop strategies, you study and study and study, and you work with your teammates to develop team cohesion. And by the time you actually get to competition day, it's just at that point it's you're just repeating what you've been doing for a while and repeating what you've been practicing. I know CCDC team, for example, even practices typing out some scripts, for example. So quite literally, all the hard work is done ahead of time. And finally, in terms of what you're going to get out of this, I think is possibly lifelong friends, because there's no better way to build a long-lasting connection than to go through the fire together. And some of these competitions are definitely stressful. And there's going to be a lot of long nights, a lot of 3 a.m. calls. You're going to spend a lot of time beating your head into a difficult problem, both during the competition and out of the competition. And you're also going to have a lot of let's grab Taco Bell after the practice or whatever your team chooses. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to spend time with your teammates and forge those connections. And for the people that I was in teams with, I graduated 3 years ago, something like that. I still talk to basically the vast majority of them, and most of them are still very dear friends to me that I still hang out on almost a monthly basis at least. So this is something that is going to go beyond even just you're going to get a job and you're going to be better on a resume and a better applicant. So in terms of one last thing I wanted to mention in terms of doing your own work. I know I've already talked about this, but actually do more than what's expected of you, because doing just the bare minimum is not enough. Even if it just, happens to be that the applicant pool or the applicant pool, the tryout pool for the teams, if it just happens to be that there's not a lot of people that worked hard and you still do the bare minimum and then end up on the team, um, you are not going to get as much out of that experience. What I recommend is you take what the team members give you, you learn what they teach you, and you do the homework and you do your own homework as well. So, for example, for CPTC, I know when I was captain of CPTC, what happened was some people would be experimenting with things like Hack the Box, which is a vulnerable system capture the flag competition type uh, site. And so I gave homework to do a basic system there. And then some people did that, and then they really loved the process. And then they said, "Oh, what if I do a higher difficulty machine?" Well, I said I'll give you extra points, and you can get extra credit in the tryout and boot camp. And so they did. And then by the time they actually got to the tryout, the homework they've done and the extra work they've done has been miles more difficult than what they actually saw in the tryout environment. And I don't know if they would have been as ready if they didn't do it. And everybody who, my year at least, went out of their way to do more and study more and do more difficult things that even the team gives you for homework, they all ended up making it to the team and doing really well in their careers. And I still talk to them because I just admire them as people as well. Finally, you know, I do have a blog, so nosecurity.blog. Check it out. As you work in the industry, there's a lot of cool things that you see. Most of the time, you're not allowed to talk to them, talk to the things that you did in your actual job. So, for example, for me, I'm bound by the NDA, so I can't really start blogging about here's how I hacked this company or here's what I did with this company. But I will do fun things in my own time and write about them. Like I'll hack a mobile game that I played as a kid. Shout out Spider-Man Unlimited. You're right. Like I'll hack a mobile game that I played as a kid and post my write-up of that. And I recommend that you start your own blog as well if you're going to be in this industry and if you want a career in this, because this is going to be a great portfolio for you. And when I was team captain, I actually made everyone who joined CPTC start a blog. It was a mandatory team requirement, and to blog about at least something, because recruiters will find it, they'll read it, and I was even asked in an interview to like explain one of my blog posts and one of my write-ups. So I know I've been yapping about quite a few things. If you have more questions later on, feel free to go to my blog, email me, or find me on LinkedIn by my name, or talk to the team organizers, and they can probably give you my Discord. I wish everyone good luck.
Thank you for sharing. We'll be passing it now to Jessica.
Jess, you're muted.
That's crazy. All right. Hey guys, my name is Jessica Luring. I am a recent graduate and I currently work in the SOC at SpaceX. Um, and I was in CCDC from 2022 to 2024. I'm not quite as eloquent of a speaker as Alex, so honestly, I can't really say quite as much, but I'll just be recapping like some of my experiences. But yeah. So I joined CCDC my sophomore year, originally on the Windows team. We didn't have the best year that year. We placed dead last in our region. Thank God we qualified, but like we still placed dead last. And after we, placed dead last, we kind of just formed a little circle and we, reflected on the experience and decided we really had to lock in. And I think that's really what CCDC was about for me. It wasn't about like winning or doing well in competitions, but it was really just more, hello, Evan just walked into my room. Hello, Evan. It really was more about like having that community of friends that you can count on, and you can really like rely and trust each other and lock in at the same time. And that community was really important for me throughout my years of college. Evan, do you want to come say hi? Someone's asking about you. Oh, that's Dylan.
Hello.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, it really was about just like this community that helped me find my motivation, especially during spurts where I was tired or burnt out, and just having this community that backed me up We would always encourage each other. We had so many late nights of working together, you know, just motivating each other, and that really was what this is about for me. But yeah, the next year we locked in, we reoriented our strategy. I became business lead, and during that time we placed second in the nation. This was like the best placement that we've ever gotten for Cal Poly, and yeah, and then we did that twice in a row, so that was pretty cool. So honestly, beyond technical skills, I think CCDC really helped me with, being able to translate my technical skills into like high level and tangible concepts that I could apply when talking to people or, especially now in my job, a lot of my job requires like, I'm requesting like a change. I'm like, hey, we need to do this to, have a better security posture, but I have to translate that into a tangible concept for the people that I'm working with. For example, I need to convince IT that this is a change that they're making that's going to affect their users, but it's a change that's necessary, and communicate that to leadership, etc. More importantly, I think being surrounded by a passionate group of friends really, really helps you find that motivation, helps you really like brings out the best in you. And it also helped me learn how to make mistakes. I think it was really important. It's a really important part of my CCDC journey. Just understanding that it's normal and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be like, hey, I don't understand what you just said. Or this concept is really difficult for me to grasp. And that's like really the point of having a team. Like everyone around you is there to help you. And we've all been there. Like we've all been in the shoes of like, oh, I just started. I have no idea what I'm doing. And really just being able to accept that and tackle these issues is the most important thing you're gonna be able to learn, because this entire career, if you're going to go down the path of cybersecurity, everything is changing all the time. You're going to be learning every single day at your job, and you just have to accept that like there's going to be times where you make mistakes. There's going to be times where you don't understand what's going on, and being okay with that is really important. And yeah, most importantly, CCDC gave me lifelong friendships. Evan will be talking later, and he's one of my best friends. I still talk to like literally everybody I competed with. They're some of my closest friends. But yeah, general advice, honestly, I boot camps are going to be intimidating. They're meant to be that way. You're condensing like a whole year's worth of curriculum into like a summer. And you're not meant to be able to absorb everything the first time, right? And if you have time over the summer to really like soak yourself into the concepts that you learn and really understand things, that's great. But it's also summer, like people have jobs, you're busy, you have other commitments, and it's okay. But as long as you're okay with like dedicating time and really putting in effort into this boot camp, you're going to walk out of here like with whatever you put into it, right? So don't let the boot camps discourage you or intimidate you. We've all been there. This is meant to be a learning experience. And so, yeah, as long as you're here, you're growing, and that's the most important thing. And outside of CCDC and CPTC, I would say my general advice is just to get involved. Like Alex said, there's a lot that can learn in these extracurriculars, such as like joining eBoard, Swift events, that the school, like the classes in school, does not offer you. A majority of everything that I currently use at work has been through, getting involved in CCDC, getting involved in Swift, like my extracurriculars, more than what I've learned in classes by like tenfold at least. So join eBoard, meet people, find your circle of friends that are going to help you grow and motivate you. But yeah, feel free to connect with me, ask me any questions. I know there's a Q&A section later, so we can leave the questions for that.
Yeah, thank you for speaking on it. I definitely agree with, being able to get a community that helps you stay motivated in cyber. But now we'll be passing it on to Dylan, if you're here.
Can y'all hear me? That's not good.
I can hear you.
Hello? I, I am I alive? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
alive.
perfect. Yeah. Hi, for reference. Yeah, I'm Dylan. Uh, for reference, I'm on a boat right now, and I'm in Alaska. It looks pretty gray. I don't know if you can see out there. It's pretty good. Uh, yeah, I'm like I'm on like three different devices figuring out how to connect to the Wi-Fi, and it's been going incredibly unsuccessfully. I have. Oh wow, the slides just loaded. That's terrifying. Okay. Anyways. Introduction. I'm Dylan. Already said that. I'm with the adversary simulation team at IBM, specifically with their consulting team, X-Force Red. I focus for my work. I usually do full scope red teams. Right now, I mainly do operating and tool development for after we get initial access to the network, which ends up being I do a lot of Windows internals research development of both tradecraft and tooling to accomplish that tradecraft. I have a blog at dtsec.us and I have a Twitter at d_trendman and I have a Discord at Nigerald if you want to reach out to me. Okay, we have all that beautiful contact information out of the way. Uh, let's see. I mean, oh yeah, and first, I competed in both CPTC and CCDC from 2021 to 2024, where I was the CPTC captain for 2024 and the CCDC Linux lead for the past like last year and a half, even though I'm mostly a Windows person because this makes sense. Uh, let's see. I don't have too many new points to bring up that haven't already been discussed. Comp teams in particular, they're great. Just like everyone else here, they gave me my friends who I talk to daily and hang out with frequently, which is a pretty difficult thing to get out of this amazing commuter school. And let's see. Now, as for the boot camps and the comp teams in particular, if you have the time and if you don't have like a million obligations, I will, yeah, because I realize that not everyone uh has the availability that I did when I was starting out. But if you have the time, the boot camps and the comp teams will give you an amazing return on your time and investment, both professionally for career related development, but as well as just having friends and stuff because I think friends are pretty good. They're pretty. It'd be tough to not have friends. Uh, I think. Let's see. When I start off in the comp teams, first I started doing the boot camps in 2021. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what an SSH was. I probably opened up command prompt once because someone told me to open it and copy and paste something in because something funny will happen, and then my computer turned off. So that was my experience with computers outside of playing League for 14 hours a day. But then when I decided to start the comp teams, I ended up grinding really hard and getting on the team. It's definitely possible, even if you're like going from starting from nothing. It all depends on how much time you're willing to put in this, because if you don't put the time in, you're not going to get anything out of it. I know a lot of people say like the first step is just being there and that's enough, but I disagree. I think it's very important to be actively involved with whatever you're trying to accomplish and learn. So in the case of the boot camps, yeah, you can attend the meetings and do the homework, but you gotta squeeze out that little extra 10%. Even though it's only mathematically possible to do 100, you gotta try to do that 110. After you're done learning, if you found something interesting, if you didn't fully understand how something worked, go back, revisit it, try to understand how that thing works rather than just saying, well, I did it and I'm turning it in, or giving up halfway through. Um, and with this sort of stuff, you're probably not going to get on your first try. And if, sure as heck didn't happen for me. I basically found every wrong way to do something before it would inevitably do it something the right way. And in the process of doing everything wrong possible and learning why it was wrong, you end up learning a lot more than taking the direct route, just figuring out and doing the solution properly. Um, the comp teams, like, yeah, there's an overarching goal for each comp team: CPTC, hack the network, CCDC, don't die. But despite all that, I think the real benefit of the comp teams, and not even just being on there, but just maintaining a maintaining contact with the people in the comp teams and working with them, because we've had people who didn't make the comp teams, but they still actively communicated and stayed with us and also grew technically. But while the comp teams all have their own same similar goal, you can get a lot more out of it than just, okay, I now know how to hack a network, or I now know how to uh, defend a certain tech stack or work with something. Because in the process of preparing for the comp teams and with how much time that we've all put in, all of us ended up going in very different routes despite doing the same thing as per se. I'm doing red teams. Alex is doing a lot of mobile security. Um, the people in CCDC are doing a bunch of things I don't really understand anymore. And that's all because when we put in the time and then we go down these rabbit holes and learn different things. Like the comp teams just are a place to facilitate learning. That while yeah, it's nice to win everything, that's not necessarily the end goal. The end goal, it's just the comp teams are a way to facilitate learning and exposure to a bunch of different things that would be really hard to do on an individual level. Uh, what I've come to learn is like the learning path for uh, uh, trying to get into the technical skills into a career or anything is not really linear. Like in, I don't know, I could be requisite, but for this sort of stuff, you kind of just do things and then things happen. That was a very poor way of wording it, honestly, but it's just constantly researching, constantly trying to stay up to date. And it, well, the benefit for me is that actually that's something I really enjoy, trying to see what the new trends are, what the new tradecraft is, and trying to understand how it works and how it relates to my learning so far. But with all that being said, I don't really know what else to say since everyone else already said a bunch of more coherent and interesting things, and my Zoom is completely frozen, so I couldn't even tell like how much of this was butchered or not. So that's awesome. Uh, yeah, I guess I'm done.
Thank you. I
Oh,
mean,
you guys aren't frozen
I
anymore.
caught up
That's
with it. So,
crazy.
I think, yeah, good presentation, and definitely agree
Would
with seeing like a lot of these competitions, while they do have like a focus to them, are just generally like really good places to get knowledge, and you can really figure out like, or at least start to figure out where you might want to have a career, and that's kind of why a lot of people end up at different places. Well, now I'll pass it off to Bryce.
Yeah, that's me. My e-boy picture. Yeah, I'm Bryce Lauer. Similar to everyone else, I compete in CCDC and CPTC. I placed top three goal CPTC when I competed and in regionals as well. I'm a ex detection response engineer at Anduril, basically a company that makes drones and sentry towers, stuff like that. And right now, I'm currently a senior associate at PwC in the global CSERT, so doing incident response. And I'm also a part of CCDC, WRCCDC, and ALCCDC's red team. In terms of my background, I'm pretty similar to Alex. I transferred from a community college. I transferred from Mount Sac, and basically, I had the same exact narrative of like, I have 2 years to basically go and figure out what I'm going to do to get a job. Because if you graduate out of Cal Poly with just a degree, everyone else just has a degree as well. So you need to go and be competitive. If you're not doing something to stand out and you're just going to school, you're not going to get a job most likely, or you're going to have to work your way up to cyber. Um, so yeah, I don't really have much else to say aside from that. I'm trying to think because everyone else kind of already mentioned everything. Uh, yeah, I basically say like going in, I had no experience similar to like basically everyone. I didn't know what like I basically barely opened up my command line for the first time when I joined CCDC's bootcamp. And yeah, Alex all our words. But back when I competed, it was like in 2019. So we didn't even have boot camps back then. Everything was like really ad hoc and weird. So it's like a pretty good privilege for you guys all to have like knowledge be handed down to you all because it was not like that at all when I was trying out. Um, but yeah, I'd say like don't be intimidated if things don't make sense or you don't know a lot of terminology. I know when you heard CCDC and CPTC, when they're talking about things you're going to learn, if you don't know any of the acronyms or terms they mentioned, don't worry because I didn't know anything either. I basically sat there in a room and I was like writing down these acronyms I didn't understand, went back home and Googled it all and tried to figure it out. So don't feel alarmed if that's how you feel right now. And reach out to people who are the competition instructors and stuff like that to get any help because that's what they're there for. Aside from that, yeah, I'd highly say that everyone here is doing a really good job. Just you're taking the first initiative of joining the first meeting, but I think the next steps is like just really pursuing it. And if you have an interest in it, just like really deep, like dive deep into it. Um, Aside from that, as everyone mentioned, I basically everyone on competition teams that I've talked to or after I graduated and helped teach the new teams, they're like all my best friends. So I've made really close friends, good relationships with people. Um, Partially got my job with Jessica because she referred me at PwC. So shout out to Jessica for that. And yeah, it just shows that you can have really close friends, good connections. You can succeed and do well with all your friends, and it's really good to have good connections and close friends. And yeah, I don't have anything else because I can't ramble like Alex can. But yeah, if you have any questions about anything that's listed there, minus CCDC red team, I can't talk too much about that. I can talk very general about it. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. The instructors can give you my Discord or something like that. But yep, that's all I got.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll be
Hey,
moving on to
that's me.
Evan. He saw the Unjust video earlier.
Sorry, I don't have a camera, so you're gonna have to look at that picture of me, which is a lot better than what I look like right now, to be honest. But yeah, I'm Evan. I was the CCDC captain 2 years ago, and then now I work at SpaceX as a site reliability engineer. I'm probably the only alumni presenting right now that doesn't work directly in cybersecurity, but that doesn't mean that cybersecurity isn't something that I use daily at my job. And so I've been told that Alex rambled a little bit at the start for 20 minutes, so I'll try not to go over whatever he and everyone else said. Yes, the competition teams and clubs are really nice for finding friends, getting a lot of skills in cybersecurity, but sorry for the strays, Alex. Um, but you can also get a lot of auxiliary skills through CCDC and CPTC. So, for example, a lot of my work right now is kind of infrastructure automation and design, as well as infrastructure security. And I got a lot of that experience through just prepping myself for CCDC competitions. Uh, we would typically run our own data centers and our own infrastructure for practice pretty much year round. And that was something that I was responsible for a few years. And that's pretty much something that you can also be responsible for if you join Swift or CCDC or CPTC. And infrastructure never stops breaking, never stops improving. So you'll be busy all year round learning new things. And I highly recommend doing that, learning infra, because even if you're not into cybersecurity, say you want to go to software engineering after, or you want to become an SRE like me, uh, infra will follow you wherever you go. So software engineers need it. But if you don't have an SRE, you especially need it. And then, you know, in this context, even more important than knowing the infrastructure is knowing how to secure the infrastructure. I've been working on password automation, identities, a lot of random security tasks just to like shield my software engineers from the stress. And I learned that all through these clubs at Cal Poly. So yeah, I don't know what everyone else said. I just got here, but everyone's calling me Inframan. So if you have questions about infrastructure, some of you may know about Kubernetes, Docker, Linux. You can ask me questions about that. I'll be here for a lot of the bootcamp days.
Thank you. And now I think, as mentioned before, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have anything that you want to ask specifically about the boot camps, tryouts, like how it's going to be structured, or if you have any questions to ask to any of the alumni that just talked or any of us on the team, like feel free to either come off mute and ask it, or you can throw your question in the chat. Also, Luke just dropped the sign-in links again in the chat. So if you haven't, make sure to sign in just so we can keep track of everyone that is attending these, especially if you're going to be trying out at the end. It's very important and also part of your grade for those trying out. But yeah, like feel free to ask anything otherwise. Uh,
Hi,
so
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Can grad students be part of Swift Club?
Yeah, for like specifically Swiss Club and not like the competitions.
So for as a graduate student who'll be attending next month, can I be part of the CCDC CPTC team, or is that not possible because I'm a grad student?
No, yeah, you as graduate students are allowed to compete like as everyone else. We've had like quite a lot of graduate students on the past teams as well. So there's no problem with that.
And then another question is, for grad students, I know there's gonna be classes offered on Saturday, so how is that gonna conflict with the tryouts or anything that you guys do on Saturdays?
So for tryouts, I think we're targeting to have uh those well, if you end up with any conflicts on tryouts, they should either be, I think, before or like at the very start of school. So we're trying to avoid as many conflicts as we can with classes. But if you do have any problems, like feel free to reach out and we can discuss those and like figure out like if you need like a separate date or something. Yeah, we can talk about that. Um, if you're talking about like the meetings that we'll have every week with like the team, that's it's not really like a rigid schedule like these boot camps are, and that's because obviously like as part of the team, like once we have our team, we're a lot more flexible in terms of like if we need to move like the time that we meet to some other date to accommodate all the members, then like we can figure that out once the school year starts.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll start going through some of these questions in the chat. Um, so someone asked if CPTC trainings during the semester are going to be in person. They will be, or we try to have like all our, well, if we're talking about the like meetings that we have as a team, we try and have those in person, just because it helps like, uh, it's easier to kind of work with each other while you're in person and like while you're next to each other, you can hop on someone else's computer. And um, but that's not like a hard set rule. If you have to go to vacation like somewhere for like 1 week. I mean, we do meetings on Zoom or like, I mean, on Discord or like over break. We also don't always come in person. In regards to the boot camp, uh, we are trying to get like in-person meetings to happen again, but they're not going to be mandatory. So we'll let everyone know like if we get a room and like where our in-person boot camps will be at, but there will always be an option to join on Zoom no matter what. And that goes for both teams. Um I guess I know a lot of these questions are kind of getting answered in the chat. Um, there's one asking for by Alexander here, asking for how we practice what we learned through CCDC if we don't have a Linux system, and like if we're going to be provided VMs or other resources that could help like utilize or that you could utilize to strengthen like your own skills. So regarding like VMs, the school at Pomona does allow us to spin up like VMs that you guys can use for practice without like having to run the virtual machines like on your own computer. So that means that if you connect to our VPN, we have software that we can host virtual machines for you to use and gain skills with, and obviously gain familiarity with Linux systems, even though you don't have like your own Linux computer, you don't have the strength to run one on your computer. Regarding some other resources for CCDC, at least in my experience, especially with the last boot camp and like trying to prep before that, a lot of what I used was really just kind of looking around different like strengthening, like, what common things you need to secure, making sure obviously you know how to set up different firewalls, and making sure you can secure like common vulnerabilities, because like when it comes to CCDC, your machines come somewhat compromised, so you have to be able to like fix existing vulnerabilities. So getting familiar with maybe like common exploits or backdoors and how to find them is very important. I'd also recommend looking through GitHub repos. So all this, a lot of CCDC uses like scripts to secure their machines very fast. And those kind of go over the common pain points you'll see like while securing a machine. And those, all the scripts for CCDC are public. So if you kind of look through their GitHubs and see what areas they're trying to address, and also you can also start making your own scripts that you can use later in the competition and during tryouts. If anyone else, has any advice for how they prep for CCDC, they can tune in as well.
Yeah, so one thing that really helped me understand, I think, the different systems better, especially Active Directory, was Evan's lab. I will probably glaze this for my lifespan, but it really brought me to a better understanding of setting up services and seeing how they interact with each other. It does require VMs though, so, but yeah, we're trying to get like VPN access documentation ready for you guys.
Yeah. And let's say moving on to another question in the chat here. Someone asked if they need to be a full-time student to join or part-time. I believe to join the competitions, you need to be a full-time student. If anyone, okay, yeah.
Yeah, to be in CPTC, you have to be a full-time student in the fall, and for CPTC, you need to be a full-time student for fall and spring.
And Noah asked if the chat log will be available in the recording. Honestly, I don't know if anyone else knows the answer to that. I haven't dealt with Zoom recordings.
I'm recording it. I'm not sure if the chat log gets included in the recording, but I do see a way to download the chat, so I'll do that and try to share that in the Discord.
Okay, sounds good. Adam asked if we're getting courses in Canvas, and that is what we're working on right now. We're trying to work with the school to set up or get access to the Canvas page, and that will be where like we're able to provide you guys all with homework, and allows us to like grade anonymously as well. So just be on the lookout for that. We'll send an announcement in Discord, and also That's kind of where we need you guys to fill out the sign-in sheets so we can get everyone's email who is trying to enroll.
How long is the boot camp?
So the boot camp will be the next 6 Saturdays, and then we have tryouts.
Can you go back to the slide with the schedule?
And basically with the boot camp, we'll learn pretty much all the basics for like cybersecurity within 6 weeks.
I mean, we're trying our best to give you as much information as well as give you the resources to learn. I can't like a lot of how much you're going to learn from these boot camps is going to be how much effort you put into them. And I think that was really touched upon with a lot of the alumni. Um, really going beyond maybe what the homework directly asks of you and exploring different topics, setting up servers, on your own, or especially when you're having like problem setting things up or figuring out a solution, like uh, that's where a lot of the learning comes in. We'll try to give as much like background info as we can in the presentations that we'll have, but it can't really like I can't promise that it's like gonna cover everything, but I do believe it will be a great baseline to go off of. And if you're willing to put in that extra effort and that extra step, I think you'll definitely be like ready to go by the start of school or the end of these boot camps.
In the chat, there was a question about whether or not you need a Linux and if you can do this using a Mac, and that should be fine. You'll be connecting to our student data center where you'll be able to use the virtual machines there using Proxmox, which we'll be releasing documentation for later.
Yeah. I mean, Mac historically has had a little bit of issues just using
Yeah.
it. Uh,
Yeah. But
yeah.
we'll help you figure it out because we've had to go through that struggle before.
Yeah, and I personally use a Mac. I know when I started, like I honestly, like I really hated my Mac just because of how many issues it had, but it'll be fine. And like, I've learned to love my Mac now. I'll go ahead and um kind of start navigating to our homework now. And yeah, feel free to still throw in like a question if it didn't get answered or you find one. But there is homework for this first week. We'll be getting everyone set up on Canvas still, so the submission might not like be ready just yet, but if you can start working on the homework now, it's not too bad for this like first week. Kind of just getting everyone in the swing of things. But go ahead and like you can access it as well as the VPN access that was linked at the start of the slides. And we'll be making announcements on Discord, like with updates on enrolling everyone and kind of getting into the groove with these boot camps. So keep an eye out. If someone wants to, yeah, go ahead.
Those links from the Discord too.
Yeah, we'll put out an announcement with like the homework links and VPN links afterwards. And also, I mean, we can drop the Discord in here as well. I don't know if, maybe some people joined from another server. It's on, yeah. Make sure you join the Discord link that Natalie just sent. That's where all the information, like from now on, will be getting sent. So it's very important. I believe that's all we have for today. If you have anything else to say, Nat.
Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week. And if you have any more questions, feel free to put it in that Discord server. You should also be able to like DM us on Discord as well. Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to like if you have any problems with this homework or like in the future or any questions, like you can drop it in the general chat or like DM us in person and uh we'll all like just answer. We're here to like help you guys, so we're gonna try our best to get you like any help that you need. But uh yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this and once again, yeah, I hope I see you guys in the coming meetings.